how a 10-speed bike, actually saved my life. Now, before I get into the story and why it's important to you and why your ability to understand what true situational awareness is, right now, take a moment, go to timlarkin.com, start putting together your family's plan and your plan to minimize the chance of violence coming into your life. Everything you get, it's absolutely free at timlarkin.com. Just give us your email. You start getting information right away. We start training you right away. And the assumptions we take are this. If you're going to face violence, we figure that you are going to be facing multiple attackers. Those attackers will be bigger, faster, and stronger, and they will be carrying weapons. That's the baseline assumption. And you need information that handles that type of a threat. And you need information that also makes sure that you avoid every aspect of facing that threat if possible. We give you all that information at timlarkin.com. One of the big subjects that I keep getting questions on is, Tim, talk to us about situational awareness. Why is situational awareness important? My first real stark use of situational awareness, where it just inherently got trained into me right away, was when I was approximately 19 years old. I was an undergraduate at the University of Southern California, USC. It's in the heart of LA. And it is in not a great part of LA, especially when I went, which was the mid to late 80s. I remember when I first showed up at USC on campus, they were selling T-shirts that had targets on them. And the joke was that the gang initiations were the urban legend that was going around. I never actually proved that whether or not this ever happened. But the idea was for gang initiation, they would go and they would kill a co-ed. But that was the type of neighborhood that you lived in at USC. Operating in that environment, it never really occurred to me just how dangerous some of the neighborhoods were around me. You're kind of a little bit oblivious to that. But one day, I was riding back to my off-campus apartment. I lived right by the Shrine Auditorium. The Shrine Auditorium back then was a place where they did a lot of award ceremonies. I had a valet parking job. A lot of the athletes had those. And we would do a lot of the big award shows and stuff. But it was in a rough part of LA. It was not in a really nice part of LA. Well, there were these little standalone bungalows that I lived in. I lived in one of these standalone bungalows. And I was riding back to my house that day, my little bungalow. And as I'm riding up, I heard my phone ringing inside. Now, this is pre-cell phone. I had to actually go in and physically pick up a phone and talk to people. And what I did was I rode my bike up. I had this Peugeot 10-speed bike. I rode it everywhere around LA because I didn't have a car. And I remember riding up. I threw it up on the little porch on the bungalow outside, which I never did. I always brought it inside the house and took care of it, but I really wanted to answer the phone. And I went in, answered the phone, talked, and I heard something out on the porch. I forgot who I was talking to, but whoever I was talking to, I said, hey, wait a minute. I put the phone down, looked, and there were two guys running away with my bike. Now, my bike was locked. I did do that. I did throw a lock on it. But they had lifted up the back area of the bike, and they were running with the front wheel just rolling. You know, they're basically two guys, and they were just running with my bike because it was a nice bike. And without even thinking, I just took off after them. Now, they had a pretty good head start on me, and I'm running. I ran about 2 blocks, and I ran 2 blocks into a neighborhood that I'd never even been in. Even though I lived in that area, I'd never gone this way because I realized, hey, it gets more dangerous when you go this way. And I'm running, and I'm so pissed, and I'm just yelling, hey, you know, and yelling all sorts of expletives. These kids, neither one of them are looking back at me. They're a little older than me, but they're just running with the bike. And then I remember they're probably about, I don't know, maybe a football field ahead of me at that point. And I'm coming up behind them, and they just stop, and they turn around. Now it's dusk. It's, you know, really starting to get dark. The streetlights just started to come on. And there was something that hit me at that time. Just my whole body visibly was affected. Just not anything other than, you know, people talk about the hairs on the back of your neck. This was way beyond that. This was like a physical, it's almost like something within inside me just stopped me cold and forced me to take a breath and look around. And I quickly realized, holy shit, I'm in an area that I know nothing about. And why are those guys stopped? And why are they so comfortable? And why are they looking back at me without fear? And I just sat there and I realized at that time, oh my God, I was about to risk my life for a bicycle, you know, without even thinking. Just the rage of somebody stealing my bike, even though I did kind of a dumb thing. I left it out on the porch. And of course, the bikes get stolen all the time that way, even when they're locked. But I wasn't thinking. Now, this neighborhood that I was in, it's the equivalent. If you ever saw the movie Training Day, it's like one of those LA neighborhoods, gang infested. It was there. I looked around quickly and realized, hey man, I am in a whole other world. This is not my world, and they don't go by my rules. And all I did was I stopped. I realized I looked at those guys. They kind of looked at me. They kept going, and I just went back. And it's really funny because that time, even though it sounds like a really just kind of like an easy, like no-brainer, like you're saying, yeah, Tim, of course you'd do that. No, it wasn't that obvious back then. But what's interesting is there are times in my life where that story and that visceral, just nonverbal, just everything screaming in my body that something's wrong, telling you ahead of time, basically, don't keep doing this. That has served me so well. It served me very well in far more dangerous situations, far more dangerous cities, just throughout my career. My career in the military and my career as a private military contractor and going to some of the countries that I've gone to. I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people talk about all the techniques you can have for situational awareness, but really what it is first and foremost is just understanding your surroundings. Now, here I was, a young guy. I had lived about a year and a half in LA, at that part of LA, going to school at USC. And yet it never really occurred to me just how dangerous the area. I kind of knew, obviously I told you about the t-shirts they're selling, but it still wasn't real to me because that was everybody else's problem, not me. It's not going to affect me at all. Probably one of the biggest blessings I ever had was the fact that I could stop myself and I was able to just let it go and realize I can get another bike. It sucked. I didn't have a lot of money back then, but I got another bike. And I didn't have to put myself at risk, real physical risk. I think back to those two kids that did it and grabbed my bike, and I can't really make them out. It's not like I can see their faces or anything. They're far enough ahead. But just their body posturing and the way they were. They weren't bravado. They weren't yelling at me. They weren't doing anything. They were just quietly confident that they were in their world and I did not belong there. And it was almost like they were giving me a warning sign, like, dude, don't keep coming. Don't go deeper into this neighborhood. It won't work out well for you. I took it on board and I was able to learn from that experience. Now, I know people are looking, hey, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about, hey, what book can I read for this? Or what training can I get? And yeah, there are a lot of good people out there and there is a lot of good information about situational awareness, but really it starts just with basic common sense. I find it so funny that, when you step outside of your world, when you step outside of your house, your family, your environment, and you go anywhere where you don't know the people around you, it's time to be situationally aware. Not paranoid, just aware of the neighborhood, aware of the people. How are they acting? What's going on? Controlling your emotions, your impulsiveness. That's really the work that needs to be done. It's making smart choices. It's taking the time. What should I have done? What if I had missed the phone call? No big deal. They probably would have called back. It wasn't that urgent of a phone call. I could have taken my bike in. It would have taken an extra couple of seconds to get the bike inside. But I didn't do that. I made it very easy for two guys to just have an opportunity to grab, something of mine that was of value to me. I mean, it got me everywhere around campus, got me to LA. Got me to a lot of the job sites that I'd go do, jobs with. So yeah, it was a valuable piece of equipment to me, but not as valuable as my life. You have to want to be situationally aware. That's the biggest thing I notice. I see people all the time and they will throw caution to the wind as soon as it's inconvenient to be situationally aware. What do I mean by that? They want to go to the party. They want to go to the club. They want to go to this place, but they're willing to drop all of their awareness and looking around. I've never seen so many people who will just be slaves to their phone. They'll be, totally immersed in their phones and they're in an unfamiliar area and they just feel as though nothing's going to happen to them. And oftentimes, the vast majority of the times, it doesn't. That's the problem. It's that one time where you have given up all awareness, and that's when the predator strikes. They're looking for easy targets. So quite simply, one of the easiest ways to be situationally aware is to just be alert, to look like you know what's going on in your surroundings, not paranoid, just aware. You're not an easy target. You know what's going on, okay? And also, the other thing is avoid the avoidable. I could have avoided the avoidable by simply taking my bike inside and doing it, regardless of whether or not I got the phone call. Same thing, just realize those extra seconds that you take to make it harder for you to be a target of robbery, a target of attack, or anything like that is absolutely worth it. And that's the smart way to start being situationally aware. But I look back oftentimes and I tell people, I've been telling clients for years that, it was a 10-speed bike that originally saved my life and has saved my life many times since, because when I've gone into potentially dangerous situations, that feeling, that story, that visceral effect comes back to me, reminds me, be aware. Do you really need to do what you're about to do? Is it the smartest move right now? Is there another way? Too many people come to me with the idea of wanting to learn how to punch, kick, and handle the worst case scenario. And I can give you all that information. And we give very, very good information on how to do that, how to use your body as a human weapon, how to make sure it's a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning everything that you do gets a real injury on the human body. Because when you're doing self-protection, you don't want to compete. You don't want to set something up. You need to make sure you understand direct injury to the human body. But what's more important is making sure that that is a black swan event, that you have created a situation where you minimize the chance of violence coming into your life. And how do you do that? Through being smart, being situationally aware, and taking the extra time, even when it's inconvenient, to do the things that minimize the chance of violence coming into your life. Now, I get it. I know this is not the sexy thing. I know everybody wants to be, hear about the badass. I went down, I chased him down, I beat the hell out of both the guys. I used these incredible moves, and I got my bike back. That's the macho idiot story that everybody wants. Truth is, I would have been in a world of hurt had I kept going. It was definitely a neighborhood that was run by gangs. They definitely had friends in that area, and it would not have worked out well for me. Even though I was a damn good fighter back then. I was going to martial arts every day at that point. I was an instructor. I was doing my military training. I was really fit. Wouldn't have mattered in that situation. I would have been overwhelmed easily. And so I'm very thankful that whatever interceded to give me all that nonverbal, just literally freezing of my body. It literally froze my body to where I could not keep running. I could not keep going. And it made me catch my breath and look at my surroundings. And it was like, dude, this is your one chance. Take it. And I did. So I will be providing some interviews of some really good people in the future here and in the coming year here that will talk more in depth about real situational awareness and how you do it. But the reason I wanted to start out with this is because being situationally aware is not going to help you getting training if you don't learn to listen to your body and learn to listen to those nonverbal cues and learn to use those nonverbal warnings that are happening in your body, even if it feels inconvenient, even if it feels awkward, even if it feels like you're going to embarrass yourself. Listen to them and do the right thing and leave. Just leave. I'm really happy that I got to do that and that I got that one chance, because the hothead that was running after his bike was full bore and he wasn't being situationally aware. He was focused on one thing, those two guys with his bike. And I wanted to right that wrong. And I wanted to just go after these guys, not any sort of awareness of where I was, what the potential was, and what I was doing with the danger I was putting myself in. So anyways, I just wanted to start this out. Yes, I will be covering more situational awareness. I will get some more people on here that will give you more concrete ideas if you're in an urban area, a rural area, what you have to worry about, unfamiliar countries, all that good stuff. I got some great people lined up. But really it starts here. You listening to you and getting in touch with that part of you and trusting that part of you, because it's going to be strange. It's not going to be something that you can really logically think about. It's going to be something that just is viscerally, that idea of the hairs on the back of your neck, goosebumps, all that good stuff. Those are the things that's your body trying to say, hey, something's wrong. Listen to me. There's danger ahead, potential danger that you don't have to participate in. So listen, if you want to start right away, go to timlarkin.com and we will start putting that plan together for you right now. Just give us your email, free information. I look forward to giving you more information through this platform on situational awareness. But right now, just think, where in your life are you taking these unnecessary risks? Where are you doing things that are putting you in unnecessary danger, potentially? And just because you've got away with something does not mean that you're not putting yourself in danger. All right. Till next time, stay safe.